Another episode of the Successful Driver Podcast presented by Aero Truck Sales. We're thrilled to be talking to Todd Amen, CEO of ATBS. Again, this is the second time we've had you on, Todd.
Yeah, Kent, I love being here, man. You guys are lifeblood of the industry, helping drivers get trucks, and I love your audience and reaching out to them. So thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, it's fun to talk to someone whose values kind of align with us at Arrows, and you guys at ATBS definitely do. You're, trying to take care of drivers. You're trying to help some of the pain points for these guys, and it's been a really valuable tool for a lot of people in the industry. So, thanks for all you're doing. And yeah, again, we're really excited to talk to you. You've always provided a lot of really interesting insight. And it's getting close to tax season here, buddy.
Who says close, man? We've been in tax season since like December. Most people don't start thinking about taxes until they get their W-2 or their 1099 at the end of January. But, for us, like tax season ends October 15th, which is the last deadline, and then it starts November 1st. So we have like a 15-day break, and then we're back at it.
Man, I can't imagine. And, we've talked about, I think we've probably talked about, how important it is to be thorough and all that kind of stuff. The proactivity required to make tax season as seamless as possible. I'm sure that's something that you've got to take into consideration if you're a truck driver, right?
Yeah. People ask, what's the biggest mistake you see? How can people avoid the pitfalls? And there's a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, being organized and keeping track of your stuff is the best way to get a good tax return done. Those drivers that throw everything in a bag or a box, and at the end of the year, they got to take days off to sort it out. Plus they lost, 10% of their receipts, which are tax deductions. So yeah, number one is just be organized every day, every month throughout the year. Don't just shove it in a box till the end of the year.
Well, let's talk a little bit about tax season and deductions. There's a lot of deductions that can be taken, but there's some that can get screwed up too, right? So what are some of the things that you commonly see screwed up when it comes to deductions?
Gosh, there's a lot. And so I'm not here to put an ad out for ATBS, but the only thing I'm going to say, I'm going to just say use somebody that understands trucking, because it's amazing how some of the chain stores or even local preparers don't understand trucking. So, things as simple as some people want to take the mileage deduction for their truck. If you and I go drive our car for business and we get reimbursed by our companies, we're going to get a 58.5 cent mile reimbursement, and that's what the company is going to deduct. But, for a trucker, they're spending $1.25 to $1.50 a mile. So if you're taking not taking the actual expenses, your fuel, your maintenance, your truck payment, your insurance, all those things, you're missing out on a lot of deductions. Per diem is bar none. I can go on satellite radio. I can be on any call-in question show, and per diem is always the absolutely most confusing topic for truck drivers that there is. Per diem changes. The last 2 years, it's changed dramatically with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that actually was introduced under Donald Trump. The per diem deduction rate went up to 100%. It used to be 80%. It's way different for truck drivers, again, than it is for you and me. And so, last year that deduction went from $66 to $69 in the third or the fourth quarter. So at the end of the day, it's a huge deduction. It's literally probably $20,000 for the average owner operator, wow, which is a big number. So yeah, those are just a couple sample ones. You got home office deductions, you got all kinds of crazy stuff. So again, use someone that knows trucking. That's the bottom line for your taxes.
So, I mean, yeah, you talk, you don't have to be an advertisement, a walking advertisement, even though your background's ATBS. We can vouch for ATBS too here for sure, though. Is there any other, kind of deductions that you kind of see off the top that you're, maybe just need to be brought to attention, or is that about it?
Oh man, there's all kinds of them. One of my favorites that we used to be a little sketchy on is the home office deduction. The IRS used to kind of treat that as like, we're going to audit you. That's a red flag if you're really trying to take that one. But, they realize the pandemic changed everything, right? We're all working at home. You're at home right now, I think. I see a bunch of Kansas City stuff in the background. So if you're self-employed, they just wanted to simplify it. It used to be a complex deal where you had to take a percentage of your utility and your mortgages and all this stuff. They made it really simple, and they said you can use up to 300 square feet, has to be an exclusive use of your home, and you can take $5 a foot. So that's a $1,500 a year deduction. That's really not complex anymore. You have to use that space exclusively for business. So it can't be the bedroom you're sleeping in, at night, and then during the day you got a desk in there. So if you ever get audited, you got to have exclusive use, but that's a pretty significant deduction that a lot of people shy away from. That's legit, because these days a lot of people are doing work at home. If your wife's booking loads for you while you're on the road in that office, take that deduction. The guard dog is always a little bit of a, do I want to do that one? Is that kind of a cheesy deduction the IRS is going to get upset about? But at the end of the day, we've done it for a long time for our clients. And you got the question of, the poodle versus the German Shepherd. Can you really deduct a poodle as a guard dog? If that dog is yapping in your truck, it's a deterrent to someone breaking in your truck. And so by all means, you could take a guard dog deduction. But if you've got vet bills because your dog's sick and you're paying $8,000 a year to keep your dog alive, the IRS is probably going to notice something like that. So in some ways, you got to use common sense. Is it reasonable for your business? Is it necessary for your business? Those are the kinds of things that we got to think about.
Todd, I'll be honest with you. I did not expect to sit down to talk with you about being able to deduct a dog.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
That's crazy. You learn something new every day. I did not know that a guard dog was a potential deduction for a truck owner. So you learn something new every day. And it kind of sounds like you guys have been learning some stuff out there as well. You're kind of starting to get some of that data gathering together for some of your year-end benchmarking. And I just kind of love to kind of hear a little bit about, what you've learned about the truck driving industry based on the data that you guys have received.
Yeah, Kent. So the fun thing about our business is we work with 20,000 owner operators. And so we just have endless data.
A big sample size. Yeah, it's a decent sample size.
It is. And the fun thing is they do all kinds of different things. Some haul on the porch, some haul refrigerated, some haul dry, flat, heavy haul, you name it. And so this time of year, we always try and take a look back when we accumulate those monthly profit and loss statements into year-end financials and tax returns. We try and amalgamate all that data into what really happened last year. And we've had a crazy 2 years, right? From the pandemic year of 2020 into the record breaking year for trucking of 2021. And so we're right in the middle of it, but we haven't even talked about it with anybody. A lot of times we put out that report kind of the end of February. So just kind of the brief preview is drivers made more money last year. That's not a huge surprise. It was a killer year for trucking, right? So their net income went up over $70,000 on average for all of our owner operator clients for the first time in history. That's awesome. That's a big number, over 70 grand. It wasn't too long ago, 3 or 4 years ago, it was down in the $60,000 range. So they're making good money. The thing that's really interesting that we always see in a good market is they also ran less miles, significantly less. They were down about 7%. The average owner operator ran like 96,000 miles last year. So it's kind of counterintuitive. When things are good, you would expect that someone in a market would work harder to make more money. As owner operators make more money, they actually get more picky on loads and lanes and all those kinds of things. So they drive less. So it's kind of interesting. Made more money, worked less. That's great for drivers.
Right. That's fascinating too, because, there's been driver shortage discussions and all that stuff, obviously. And, there's probably some guys are probably a little bit more willing to take less miles to have that. There's like a cost benefit analysis, right? You maybe a little bit more time home. Maybe there's a little bit more opportunity to be home while continuing to make, great profits. And, it's what we've seen. I think some of that data kind of indicates that. I think maybe you disagree, but feels like people are becoming more driver centric. People are trying to take into consideration the driver because they have to. And that's a good thing for this industry. Is I do think, across the board, people are becoming, more driver centric and trying to make make things more enjoyable, make things better for these guys.
It's for sure true. As the supply chain has become more constrained and as we have this tremendous shortage of drivers and trucks to move freight, drivers can pick and choose what they want to do. And as frustrating as that might be for shippers and the general public, at the end of the day, that's a good story for truck drivers.
Absolutely.
Pay is going up, work's getting better. I live in Colorado, man, and there's a foot of snow out there and you see drivers chaining up. There's some drivers saying, I don't really want to drive west in the winter because I don't like that chaining up, for 3 hours to drive 20 miles. And gosh, in a market like this, you can actually do that, which is crazy.
Right. No, for sure. So, this obviously just a boom of a year. How do you think the truck driver at large kind of responded to the craziness of 2021 based on some of the data that you've seen? Not just from a cost perspective, but I mean, it feels like they did a pretty good job handling what kind of was thrown at them and their response and their management of everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to answer that question, but number one, first and foremost, I think, as all of us in this business have known forever, but the general public is just learning. Truck drivers stepped up, man. We, starting in literally April of 2020, when the world shut down, everybody went home. Truck drivers went out and hauled freight to deliver the stuff we needed on the shelves. So, and when they stepped up and they worked hard to keep America moving. Number two, I think a lot of them looked at what they were doing, and they saw opportunity. Like a lot of people in America, we have a labor shortage. In trucking, we've always had a labor shortage. There's never been enough drivers. There probably never will be enough drivers. But we now have that industry wide in America. And so when that happens, a lot of drivers that were company drivers said, "Hey, I want to go get my own truck and become an owner operators, because guys are making six figures, a lot of them." And so we saw a lot of people vacating company driver jobs to go buy an aero truck and get in business for themselves.
See, we're
We
plugging
saw
each other now, right?
it's legit though, right? I mean, why do you think truck prices
Yeah.
doubled last year?
Yeah.
Because there was huge, crazy opportunity, and
Yeah.
people wanted to go make money doing that. We saw drivers getting their own authority like we've never seen before. We do business with drivers that lease the fleets, drivers that have their own authority, but we have just seen a crazy boom. Like, we sign up on a weekly basis 5 to 6 times the number of drivers that are in business for themselves than we ever have before.
Mm. That's incredible. And that's a great thing. And it's a credit to you guys for having somebody, for drivers, having someone like y'all to kind of help be a business partner with with them along the way. And I mean, I think that's kind of the way I can best, explain what you guys are, is you're a business partner with these guys. And, the heart of what you guys are doing is very similar to the heart that we have here at Arrow. So let's talk real quick about 2022. So, what are you kind of seeing for 2022? What are your expectations for this market in this industry?
I just right before this watched one of the big banks here in Colorado does an economic forecast, and they have a local economist and then a national economist. And all of us are kind of trying to suck up as much of that information as we can, because we've been living in the unknown for 2 years. And
Yeah.
you got to go with what you hear and what the consensus is. And at the end of the day, people are forecasting another really robust year for trucking in 2022, which blows my mind, because we've already been in a good cycle for
Yeah.
trucking for almost 18 months, and good trucking cycles hardly ever last past 16 to 18 months. So we should be on the tail end, but there's just so many reasons. We have a shortage of trucks. They haven't been manufactured. We don't have a
Yeah.
lot of used trucks, so we can't create capacity. We don't have drivers that are, in the pipeline. Drivers that would be drivers are doing other jobs right now because you can make a lot of money. So for so many reasons, we're supply constrained on trucks. We can't add to this capacity equation like we have in the past. Usually when things get good in trucking, we had a bunch of trucks, we had a bunch of drivers, and before we know it, we have too many trucks and not enough freight, and things are crappy again. And just by all means, people are forecasting this year that equation's not going to happen. So I think it's a great year. The one cautionary piece of that is it never lasts forever. And
Right.
so people that are doing well right now, man, put some money in the bank, pay down some of your debt, save some money up for when things slow down, because all you people that have gotten in business for yourselves that have been running the spot market at 350 a mile for the last 18 months, I can tell you those rates go down to $2 when things get tough,
Yeah.
and that gravy train is over. And you got to be buckled down, understand your business, and figure out how you're going to survive the couple of years of bad, because it will come.
Right. I mean, it's just the nature of any market, really, is that it's cyclical. There are highs and lows, and obviously there's going to be some interesting factors that are kind of unprecedented for us as we kind of navigate the next few years, with the pandemic and coming out of it. And it's going to be interesting to see how it affects the market. But it's interesting to hear that, the 2022 forecast, there's a lot of people that the 2022 forecast is pretty strong still. So I'm very curious to see how it kind of affects everyone. And Todd, really appreciate your time always. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I know busy season is basically every month of the year for you guys. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us here in Q1, though. All right.
Hey, Kent, I was love being with you guys. You provide a great value for our drivers, getting them great trucks and keeping them on the road, and love partnering up with you guys. So, hey, just my parting shot is thank you, drivers, for what you do. Drive safe.
Mhm.
God bless y'all, and keep up the good work, man.
Todd Amen, CEO of ATBS. It's a lot of letters to spell out there. Thank you so much.
Right on, Kent. Talk to you soon.